I just like to point out that this is not a sequel. It's a second part or a continuation. Guys, back on the cinema scale, today we are taking a first look at the long anticipated movie Wicked for Good. The film is directed by John M. Chu, whom also directed the first part of this film. The film stars Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jeff Goldblum, Jonathan Bailey, and Michelle Yeoh. The film takes place 5 years after the defying gravity phenomena. Elphaba is now accepting the persona of being the wicked witch of the West, while Glinda now has been declared good by Madame Marble and the Wizard of Oz. Together, the two must deal with the consequences of their choices while trying to be true to their very selves. Haven't we all been there at one point or another? Choosing good versus evil, trying to be true to ourselves while being true to our friend. Right off the back, there's going to be some questions. The first question is, why is this movie not a sequel? Well, put simply, it's not a sequel because it's not a sequel. The film is a continuation of the movie that we saw 1 year prior. So for those of you guys who are comparing this movie, the second part, to the first part, it would be an act of utter foolishness because these movies run together but were spliced in two. The second thing is, how does this movie translate from Broadway theater to cinematic screen? While the first part wowed us and made us feel good about ourselves and even made us cry at the end of Defying Gravity, this film in itself does not do that. And mainly in part it's because they've removed certain songs, they've added too many songs, and they've snipped through essential moments of song that build character in the movie. As a result of changing the chemistry and dynamic of this movie from its predecessor or its original form, the Broadway musical, this movie misses the mark tremendously. The only thing for good about this movie was when I was able to see the credits roll. Cynthia Erivo is obviously awesome. Her vocals are strong. She carries that cinematic presence. She shows herself to be more of a firm character in this movie, a great presence representing wickedness in this movie rather than the first, her coming of age story. Now, the musical takes place in two parts. The first part deals with the story of Elphaba and how she becomes this defying gravity woman, while the second part is dealing with Glinda and her growth. In this movie, she was stunted completely. I did love the fact that Cynthia Erivo hit those core moments in her coming out song, No Good Deed. If you haven't heard that version of the song sung by Idina Menzel, download that on Apple or Spotify to catch how those vocals should sound. Cynthia Erivo does wonderful in that coming out song in the second part. Now, Ariana Grande, as we mentioned before, as our Glinda the Good, this is supposed to be her coming of age part. So the movie is split into two parts. This part is supposed to deal with Ariana. She doesn't do much. She runs around screaming, "Fire!" Every 5 seconds. She's crying, just sobbing. I'm pretty sure some of that crying was real because she knew that she would no longer be on set with Cynthia. She isn't as serious in this movie as she was the first. She doesn't have much of a presence until towards the end of the film. You start to see some of that Glinda-like essence. And really, it makes her boring to watch. The first hour and 20 minutes of the movie, I glanced at my watch. They kind of just shifted right through or pushed away her cinematic opening number. Thank goodness it's supposed to rain joy in the second part, and we were robbed. Now, my favorite character of all, Jonathan Bailey, I enjoyed him thoroughly. He carries a great deal of drama in this movie. He is beautiful in As Long As Your Mind. That's the duet sung between he and Elphaba, confessing such strong emotion for one another. Now, there was a character I feel as though was slighted the most, and that's the Wizard of Oz, played by Jeff Goldblum. I don't understand as to why they cut his song so drastically, but in the musical, he sings this song about how wonderful he is to people. And in the movie, they do something different with that song. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but something so different that it makes the movie stick out like a sore thumb in the middle of Texas. He was drastically changed, and that as a result killed his light, and it caused the movie to focus more on the girls, even when it was supposed to be focused on him. Now, Michelle Yeoh, I love Michelle Yeoh. She was great in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, Crazy Rich Asians, holla. But in this movie, it doesn't work with her because she's not a singer. So they cut some of the songs in which she's supposed to sing. She talks through some of her vocals, and that makes it very difficult to believe it's a musical and to be connected to the character. Some of the songs in the film were shortened so drastically that you didn't even have a chance to enjoy them yourselves. And that's really what made this movie all the more difficult. It went from being a musicale to a music, and it just stops. Okay, there was one quote that stood out to me. We can't let goodness be just a word. I thought that was well done. Now, many of you guys are wondering how Dorothy fits into the story. I do love the fact that John Chu says he wasn't going to put the limelight on Dorothy's face because this movie, The Wizard of Oz rather, was never remade. And so for him to put a new girl in the place of an iconic cinematic presence such as Dorothy, our beloved Dorothy from the original film, without a remake, he felt as though that was disrespectful. So we don't get much Dorothy time. We get as much Dorothy time as we did in the Broadway musical adaptation. If you haven't seen the Broadway musical version, you may want to check that out. Overall, Wicked for Good lacks emotional connection. There were gaps created which distance us from the cinematic moments of joy. The musical essence of this movie was ripped away from us, and the moments that were designed to enhance the story were taken away. New songs were added in places that they shouldn't have been, and because part 2 was supposed to focus more on Glinda's life, and we didn't get much of that character development for her, we got bits and pieces. That's where we lose that connection that we had from the first movie. So guys, that was Wicked for Good on the cinema scale. Let me know down in the comment box, have you seen this movie yet, and what you thought of this movie. What's your favorite song from Wicked for Good, and did you see the Broadway musical adaptation? Let me know down in the comment box. Would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget, if you like this video and want to see more, hit that subscribe button and click next.